Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jam Box.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jam Box. We're here and we're back at it, but before we get on into it, let me get the easy stuff out of the way. As always, make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I'm never going to learn where they are, but I trust you. Now let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
Hey everyone, I'm signed Rosie, and I am so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So happy to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about, where you're from, what you do, give us that Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
Sure. So I am from Connecticut, grew up in Connecticut, Milford.
Okay.
So my family is still all over there, but I moved to LA in 2018. So I've been there for 5 years now. I am an indie pop artist.
Exciting.
Yeah. And I really love what I do.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
What got you into music initially?
So my mom put me in musical theater when I was really, really young, like 5 or 6 years old.
Oh, okay.
And actually the first show I was ever in, I was one of the main characters in it. Like one of the main characters was supposed to be a young child. And after that was it. That was it. I was like, I had a huge head and I was like, I'm going to do this now. And I really enjoyed it. I loved being on stage. Like as a child, I don't remember ever being nervous or scared. I was just wanted to be on stage and sing. And that was around the time where, of course, I realized that I could sing and that I like to sing. So all throughout my childhood, my mom sent me to voice lessons, put me in more plays, and I just did so much of that growing up. And I am so, so grateful to my parents for that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just really allowing me to express myself in that way and doing exactly what I wanted to do.
Hell yeah.
Like what I like to do for fun.
Are they musical as well?
They're not actually. They're both in the medical field.
Interesting.
So my whole life, my family's like, are you also going to be in the medical field? And I was always like I never was interested in that. God bless everyone that does that. But it just was never for me. And I was never super interested in it. And I very much look up to them for what they do and everyone in that field. But I was always super creative.
Fair.
Yeah.
Do you play any instruments?
I do. I play a little bit of guitar.
Nice.
Again, they put me in guitar lessons when I was 15, 16 years old.
Yeah, they were really just trying to breed a star.
Oh, they were. Yeah, I know, right?
Was there a defining moment where they were like, all right, she's not going into medical. Let's turn up the heat on the music, or was it impossible because they already were having you do all the things?
We were already at that point. From a very young age, I think it was always very much this is what Emma loves. This is what she's going to keep doing.
Gotcha.
So as I got older, I kind of took ownership of that. And I was like, this is what I want to do. So by the time I got to college, I became a theater minor. I was a film major. Gotcha. Theater minor. And so I got to keep doing that.
Smart.
And it was amazing. And for a while, towards the end of college, I was like, I'm going to be an actress. That was what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. This next question's one that we ask everybody early on. It's definitely a crowd favorite. Big fan. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
Oh my God, I love that question. Take Care by Drake. Period.
Okay.
Still my favorite album. Classic. I can rap that whole thing for you right now. I'll do it right now.
Guess what, y'all?
Here we go.
Sorry, YouTube copyrights. It's happening.
Yeah. Favorite album, I would say maybe of all time.
Okay.
It reminds me of being in my first car when I was 16, had the CD. I had just gotten a job. So I had all this money. And by all this money, I mean maybe $100 or $200 a week, but I wanted to buy like concert tickets and CDs with my money. That's all I wanted to do. And
Smart.
clothes probably. But yeah, love that album.
Hell yeah, I could dig that.
Yeah.
Now, tell us about the first show you ever went to that you also were like, I want this show. I got these tickets.
Yes.
I'm at show.
Yeah. So the first show that I ever went to with my own money, I actually went by myself because I wanted to go so badly.
Okay.
And I was young. I must have been like 14, 15 years old. And it was great because I would start going to shows. My mom literally would write like letters to my school so that I could get out early so that I could take the train to New York and like get in line early.
That's awesome.
She was like, I mean, my parents were just so supportive my whole life of my love for music. So that first show was in New York City. It was Never Shout Never, my favorite artist at the time.
Okay. Wait. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think someone I interviewed yesterday.
No way.
Which I think your episode might come out before there, so I can't say who it is yet.
Yeah.
But someone I interviewed yesterday, I think also said Never Shout Never, but I think it was for a different answer, or a different question.
That's still crazy.
Yeah.
Like we haven't heard about them in a while, I feel, anyways.
Yeah, I haven't heard the name in a long time.
Yeah.
And another person I interviewed yesterday, was a little double day. Their first album, I think, was also a Drake album.
Oh my
God. So many degrees of separation.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, we're all connected.
Oh, yeah.
We're all connected.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, at least one of them you've been on tour with. So
Yeah.
So yeah, you definitely know them.
Who could that have been?
But now let's go ahead and let's dive into more of the kind of the artist focused questions. And the obvious first one, how did you pick your name?
Oh, that's a great question. People actually ask me this a lot because my stage name is not my legal government name at all. And I remember, so I worked on my first EP in 2017. And during that time, I was like, what's my artist name going to be? And I didn't even know at the time I was recording it that everything was going to take the course that it did. And I was like, gonna be an artist now. I was like, I just had written these songs and I was like, I want to record a little project, you know? Yeah. And I never thought I would do it again. I just wanted to see if I liked it, all that. So during that time, I wasn't confident enough to be like, to come up with like, say, Signed Rosie or like something that's completely different than my real name. Yeah. So I just went with I'll just say it was Emma Francis, which is my first and middle name.
Okay.
And so that was very like, I feel for Emma Francis. That was such a nice little time in my music career. And I will always remember that. But it was very much like I just picked it because I was embarrassed to like make myself something else, like make myself like an artist, you know? And I didn't have that confidence really until I moved to LA and I wanted to change my artist name, but I was still a little in the beginning I was still a little bit scared.
Yeah.
So
I get that.
But I just doing all of this, I gained that confidence, you know, living in LA and making more music and meeting more people and playing shows and meeting more people that believed in me. And I was like, hell yeah, I can do this. I can do whatever I want. And that is the amazing thing about music is that you really can do whatever the fuck you want. And I fully believe that. I mean, there's no one telling me what to do. I never want there to be. I'm always open to guidance, but as far as like making decisions, like I always want it to be like at the end of the day, like, you know, I want to be true to myself.
Yeah, it's your sound.
Yeah. So how I came up with Signed Rosie, I was actually just Rosie for a little while because I don't know why. I genuinely, I mean, it's my cat's name, but I don't think that I was ever like, I want it to be my cat's name.
So are you saying that your cat is your manager?
My cat is my manager. Oh, okay. She's doing a kick-ass job.
Yeah, my cat's my supervisor on the daily.
Hell
I get it.
Yeah, he gets paid a lot, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So to be honest with you, I don't know how like Rosie came to be, but it changed to Signed Rosie because I was with a label a few years ago and we were just talking about like marketing and stuff and just like the best way to like find my music on Spotify. So if you type in Rosie, just Rosie on Spotify, it's so many artists come up. If you type in Signed Rosie, only I come up.
Nice.
And Signed Rosie was actually my Instagram handle for years before I was ever Signed Rosie. So the person working at the label was like, well, why don't you change to Signed Rosie? I was like, that's like so indie of me. So so we did it, and it's been great.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, hey, that works. And I mean, that's kind of a good point to make. Not a lot of people touch on that on the show, that having a name that's easy to find goes a long way. Long way.
I never thought about that, but once I really was like, okay, I'm an artist. I'm doing it. Got to do all the right things.
Well, there's nothing worse than the first time you go to look up your own music and you're like, is this what everybody has to go through?
Exactly. Exactly. I'm just like this on my phone, like, okay.
Yeah.
It's not there. Great. Okay.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. Like, you can have like an abstract name, but if you have to like introduce it, you're like, yeah, I'm Turtle with 5 Y's and a Z. And you're like, that's like more letters than the word turtle.
Right.
Like, like where do the T and the R's go? So yeah, like that. Good point to be made on here. Nobody's ever mentioned that before.
You're welcome.
A catchy name is clever, but make sure it's easy to find.
Easy to find,
definitely.
Easy to find. Yeah.
All right, now go ahead and tell us about your writing process. When it comes to putting a track together, what do you do? How do you like find that creativity?
Mm-hmm. I do a lot of writing in the car. Mm-hmm. Very safe. But literally, I will like think of like just lines, words, phrases, concepts in my head while I'm driving alone. And sometimes I'll literally like get off an exit or pull to the side of the road so I can write it down in my notes app. My notes app is fucking so long.
So you don't use like a voice memo?
No, because it always gets messed up. And you know what I do sometimes too? If I do think of like a concept or something, and I also think of a melody, I'll even do a little voice memo.
Okay.
Like there's so many things that I've never used, have used in there. Yeah. It's crazy. So I'll do that. It's very rare, I feel, that I like sit down to write.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like I'm always doing something and then I'm like, oh my God, I have to, like I'll be doing something else. I'll be like, oh my God, I have to write this down right now. And it's cool that way because it takes the pressure off. Mm-hmm. It comes very naturally to me. It's more fun for me. I never want this to feel like I'm being forced to do it because I'm not. No one's like, you have to make music.
Yeah.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, if anything. But I love just being able to do it when I want to, and it just all feels very natural. And then at the end, when like I have like a verse hook and everything, that's when I kind of go back in. When I'm ready to record it, I'll go back in and structure the whole thing how I want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, solid. I dig that.
Yeah.
Now, out of your entire discography, and you've got a pretty fair amount of songs on there.
I do, yeah.
Which song do you think describes you best as an artist presently?
That's a great question. Presently, I would say my song Emma, which is also my favorite song that I've ever put out. It's just very fun. It's about my childhood and growing up and my family. I think it's very telling of who I am as a person and as an artist because those two people are very similar, you know, like who I am as a person and who I am as an artist. I always want them to be the same. Yeah. Never want to put on a front or anything, like what you see is what you get.
Surprise, you're actually a 2-foot human being with 6 cats in a bodysuit.
See, you would never know. Signed, Rosie.
Just 3 kids in a trench coat. Surprise.
Yeah, I always want to be very genuine, Yeah, so I think Emma is a perfect example of that. It's one of my favorite songs right now that I'm really trying to push at the moment.
Hell yeah. Well, y'all should definitely go check it out. Thank you. Now, this next question I feel like is going to tie into the question that follows it. So we're just going to lump them together.
Okay.
Because like I said, I think the answer to the first one's going to come out in the second one.
For sure.
Tell us about your most recent tour with Lord Lawrence.
Oh my God.
Wayne had a blast. He had a blast. I'd love to hear your perspective.
Oh my God. I could just cry even thinking about the fact that I even got to go on tour at all. And
also, shout out Lord Lawrence and Wayne Gray.
Lord Lawrence
and Skelly Jelly, a.k.a. Max, because he was there as well.
Yes, and Wavy Davy.
Oh, yeah. He hasn't been on the show yet.
Yeah. Question mark?
Walker. I know he was there. He's been on the show.
Yeah.
I can't remember who else was there. But if we spend too much time shouting out everybody, we won't get on
we'll
into
be here
it.
Forever, yeah.
Shout out to everybody that was involved in that tour.
Go look at the recaps.
Yeah. But yeah, tell us all about it.
Yeah. So I'll start kind of from the beginning. So I met Lawrence through our producer, Call Girl, 4 years ago when I first moved to LA and I needed a producer, and I started following Call Girl on Instagram, and he posts about all the artists he works with, and he would post about Lord Lawrence. So I started following him. So, on Instagram, you have these Instagram relationships with people. I mean, we all have them, and you never meet them in person.
Well, I do. But that's only because that's how I use majority of my booking. But yeah.
Right, exactly. Which is so cool. So that was the extent of my relationship with him, and I never knew how fucking great that man was until I met him in May, literally 2 months ago. So earlier this year, he posted a TikTok video about something about going on tour, and I actually commented on it, and I was like, I want to go on tour, and he replies to it and goes, text me.
Yep.
And I was like, oh shit. So I texted him. I was like, hey, it's me. And he literally sent me all the tour dates. He's like, do you want to go on tour with me? And I remember I was sitting at my brother's kitchen table. I almost cried. I mean, I was so, that's something as an artist, at least for me, that's a huge milestone.
Oh yeah, totally.
To go on tour. I mean, since I moved to LA, since I put out my first project, I'm I want to go on tour. That's my biggest thing that I would aim for. So I reached out to my band, some of my best friends, and I was like, hey, you guys want to go on a West Coast tour? Because we were in New York at the time. And they immediately answered. They're like, what the fuck? Yes. So well, what do you mean? What is happening? So that's how everything kind of came together. So in May, we went on the May Mini tour. Yep. And I actually met Lawrence for the first time in Vegas, an hour before sound check at our Airbnb. And literally, when I tell you, that man is the kindest, most genuine, beautiful human I have ever met in my life. I mean, he just takes everybody in. You know what I mean? As his own. He's we're friends now.
Yep.
Right? And I am so grateful that in the past 2 months since tour that I've gotten so close with him and his partner Shayla and Nate and all the people that are in his circle, because they are very much like him.
Yeah.
He surrounds himself with really, really beautiful people.
I can definitely attest to that one. He's also definitely a big friend of the show, for sure. He's been involved in a lot of interesting parts of it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he'll be involved in many other things moving forward.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm excited to keep working with him and, building our friendship and all that. It's been really great. So, tour was amazing. Obviously, we had the best experience. A few bumps along the road, but something
what tour
that can't go off exactly without a hitch.
Yeah.
We still made all of our dates,
exactly.
Right? And at the end of the day, that's all we could ask for. We all performed 4 nights in a row.
There it
is. We did Vegas, LA, San Jose, and then Portland. So it was great.
Where at in San Jose?
It was called the Caravan Lounge. Yeah.
Yep, I'm familiar.
Yeah, no way. That's awesome. Yeah, it's a cool bar. There's a pool table. We had a few local artists come through. It was really dope.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, because the question didn't exactly get answered there, we're going to ask this one next. Tell us about either your most favorite show that you performed, or if you just have too many favorites, the most wild show.
Okay.
Or if you have both, you can tell both.
Perfect. I'm so glad that you asked this because I was thinking about it while I was answering the last question. So you're right. My favorite show I've ever performed was the Portland show on tour. It was at Mono Occulta, and I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's there's a pretty big stage, and it's a really, really dope venue. And I know that they play a lot of shows there. So we were... Of course, it was the last show. It was very emotional. We were very tired, feeling very grateful, sad that tour was over. So much had happened in the 4 days, right?
Yeah.
So much is going on, constantly. So to get up on that stage that last night, it was really emotional for all of us, for me and for my band. Shout out to my band real quick. just because I know that they feel the exact same way about this date. And I would guess that it's one of their favorite shows they've ever played too. On drums, I have Ellie Catarasano, and on guitar, I have Ryan Sheehan. Both, again, some of the most beautiful people I've ever met. The funniest fucking folks ever. I mean, they're just, we laughed the whole time on tour. Laughed the whole time. So when we had that last show in Portland, I mean, we were all just so like in sync with each other and so connected. And we were like on the same page the whole time. I mean, it was just such a great experience. It was like almost an out-of-body experience, but I also was extremely present. I even said that to the crowd. I was like, I'm going to try to say super present, even though I'm like so sad and I don't want to think about this being over at all. Because we did about a 20-25-minute set. We had 5 songs. And it would go a little bit longer than 20-25 minutes sometimes because I talk so much. Between each song, and everyone makes fun of me for it, especially my band. Ryan actually sent me a meme the other day that was like, are you ever in the middle of telling a story? Did you see it?
Well, I responded to you on that one. Yeah.
Yes. It was like, are you ever in the middle of telling a story and then in the middle of it, you're like, Jesus, will I ever shut up? That's literally me on stage. Sometimes I'm like, wait, what song is that? Oh, yeah. Okay. What was I even talking about? Anyways, here's Wonderwall, but...
That's incredible.
Yeah.
No, I definitely understand chatting for a little bit.
Chatting.
Oh, yeah.
We're just chatting.
Yeah, just
we're just having a conversation.
Yeah, just a little casual back and forth.
With the 30 people in the crowd.
Exactly.
Gotta tell them some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Ask them how their day is individually.
Individually.
We're going to go through everybody. You didn't have a good day. All right, guys, we're stopping for a moment. Get up here. Let's talk about it. Bring out that couch. I love it. All right, but let's get back on into this. And this next round of questions, they're all hypothetical questions.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Love a hypothetical.
And the first one is, if you could work with any one artist who's currently alive.
Whoa.
And if it's a group, you have to pick one member of the group.
Okay.
But if you could work with them in any capacity, if it's like fly on the wall, working on a track, doing a show, like, who would you pick?
There's this girl, Julia Wolf, that I am obsessed with right now. She also does indie pop music. Her lyrics are like nothing I've ever heard before in an artist. Truly, truly very unique artist. I would love to work with her. We're both from the East Coast. She's from New York. She's close to my age, I believe. And I just feel like we would vibe out in the studio. Like, I always think about that. You know, like you have your favorite artist and you're like, oh, what would it be like to work with them? She is one of my favorite artists. I look up to her so much.
Hell yeah.
And I love seeing, I've been a fan of her for a while, and I just love seeing like where she was. And now she just toured twice in a row, pretty much. 2 times like back to back. And I mean, that's just incredible. I look up to her and I would love to work with her one day.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody knows her, make it happen.
Please.
Now, subsequently, and this might be a little bit of a more broad stroke answer because you kind of home base in a few places, but who's a local artist that you're aware of, but you like haven't had an opportunity to like interact with yet, but you would like to?
Yeah. I have interacted with her. She just moved to LA, actually. Her name is Hannah Rabuccio. And again, with the lyrics, like, she's only 20 years old and she has some of the most, like, the deepest, most beautiful lyrics. Like, she has lived lifetimes.
Yep.
And again, I really look up to her writing. I actually got coffee with her a few weeks ago, and we haven't gotten a chance to do anything together yet, but I would love to work with her. She's a really, really nice girl. And she moved to LA. She was like me. Like, she told me the story of how she moved here. Like, she moved here with no job and basically no money, which is what I did. And I'm like, girl, I get you. Like, when you want to do something, you have to make it happen. I mean, I say this all the time. 2 things: do what you love and be kind to others.
Yep.
Period. And that's how I live my life. And I think watching her do that was very nostalgic for when I moved to LA, because I was 23 when I moved to LA. And I'm so excited to see where she goes because all she does is write, record, she's in the studio all the time, you know, works little jobs here and there just like I did. And even though she's a lot younger than me, oh my God, I can't wait to work with her. I very much look up to her.
That's awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I guess I can't tell people to get you two connected since you've already connected.
Oh, yeah. I have her number.
but that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
and I mean, I think it's cool when you get to meet somebody who's in like a place in their process that like you're familiar with, but you can see that there's like something else in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Because then like you don't have to like backseat drive them, but you can you like there's things you're gonna know that are helpful nudges.
Totally.
And like when I imagine, you know, when we were both earlier musicians, that like idea of somebody who just knows the next steps coming in and being like, hey, I see what you're going for.
Yeah.
Let's work together.
Yeah.
Like that can go a long way. Yeah. A long way in the beginning for sure.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of people, even in my film career as well, that I look up to. I wouldn't be where I am without them. And I thank them, you know, forever and ever. You know?
Totally.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into the last hypothetical questions, I realize we didn't touch on any of your like film industry experience.
Oh yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Definitely. So my major was film. I went to Quinnipiac University in Connecticut.
That's a real place.
Graduated with that definitely exists.
That's a real word you just said.
Shout out Bobcats. I graduated in 2017 with a BA in film. I got into film when I was in high school. I actually took, I think it was like an analyzing film class in high school, and I thought, like, I had a moment. I remember being in class, and what we would do is watch movies and kind of then go back and analyze them and talk about the mise en scène and, you know, different like elements of how they shot it and why they shot it certain ways. I was like, this is fucking cool. Like, I was really into it. And again, it was something creative, so I was really into it. And I had never really been interested in film, never even thought to be interested in it or check it out before high school. I think it's like my senior year. And so when I had my orientation at Quinnipiac, I was going to be a communications major because for a while I thought that I wanted to be a news anchor, which is so funny, like looking back at that, because I am completely like, I mean, I'm like on camera and stuff like that. I'm in like the public eye or want to be at least. But I'm like, it's totally on the other end.
Yeah,
of
it's
this.
like that is all being told what to like do and say.
Yes,
you live off a teleprompter.
Exactly. So it's funny looking back, knowing that I wanted to do that. But so I got to that orientation and told my orientation leader, shout out my friend Anthony. I love you so much. He has done so much for me in my career and in my life. Such a good friend of mine. I told him what I wanted to do, like how I wanted to be in film. And he was like, well, you shouldn't be was a communications major. He's like, you shouldn't be a communications major. You should be a film major like me. And I was like, oh, okay. So he signed me up for all the classes and all that. And it was a really great experience. And after school, I just did all the internships, all the free work. You know, literally, I would say 50% of my resume is free work.
What was the coolest thing that you ever did for free?
Oh, dude, I love that question. Coolest thing I ever did for free. When I was interning at, it was called Go Nation Pictures / Kaleidodope. They're like, we're in the same building, office. Like, I worked for both of them. We would work with this artist, Chris Webby, a lot, who's huge.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I'm so glad you know who he is. Hell yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Dude, I mean, we would work with him all the time, and I was interning, and I was like, I didn't care that I wasn't getting paid, because in high school I was such a huge fan of him. Yeah. I mean, he was like huge when I was in high school. Like, he got big when I was in high school, right? So we would listen to him all the time, and then all of a sudden he's just coming in and we're doing music videos for him, and I got to be on set and edit all of his shit. Like, it was like I got to actually touch a lot of his content, and that is definitely one of the coolest, if not the coolest thing I got to do.
Hell yeah.
For free.
Now, what was the coolest not for free thing you did?
Oh, man. I've worked on some really cool shit. I actually just got off of a feature documentary with Nat Geo.
Oh, shit.
About this ship called the Endurance that sank in the early 1900s in Antarctica, and some people on my team plus a whole ship crew just found it last year.
Wow.
100 years later, more than 100 years later. So I was the production coordinator on that documentary for Nat Geo. So
wow, that's really cool.
Really cool. Yeah.
How do you end up in that situation? I'm always so curious about those kinds of things.
Yeah. You mean how did I end up in that job?
Yeah, what were the things that led you there? I guess without, getting too behind the scenes on things.
Totally. Oh no, I actually love this question because I had never really worked on documentaries or had experience, the way that my journey went, I was never in the doc space at all. I was doing a lot of music videos, so I was editing for a little while, and then I got into production a few years ago, and I was a production assistant, and I'm a coordinator, and that's what I do. And so I worked on, this is actually equally as cool as the doc I just talked about. I got to work with Complex last year, which was, again, a huge milestone for me. I have been a huge Complex fan forever. And to be able to work with them, again, I have to shout out my friend Sabrina. She recommends me and brings me on to the coolest jobs I could ever, I'm just so grateful for her because without her believing in me and taking me on, I would not be where I am today in so many ways. And she's also such a good friend. So she recommended me for an associate producer position on a mini doc series with Complex called Food Heroes. And what we did was we got together a bunch of different organizations and people that were making changes in their community through food. And so it didn't come out as Food Heroes. It actually came out under First We Feast. So there are a few episodes on there. But we got to travel. I mean, we shot some episodes in LA and New York and Philly. And I mean, these were just the most selfless people I have ever met. And I still stay in contact with a lot of them.
Oh, that's
awesome.
awesome.
They're still doing their thing. It is the coolest thing. A big part of my life, I guess, is helping others. And I through that job, I got to do that. And it really went back to who I am and who I always have been and who my parents taught me to be. And I was like the whole reason I wanted to get into film, not only because I thought it was cool, but because through film, I wanted to change people's lives. That has always gone hand in hand, and I finally got to do that on Food Heroes. So after that, I was like, maybe I want to produce documentaries. So and keep on doing that type of work. So I kept seeking out doc jobs, and just randomly on Facebook one day, my line producer at Nat Geo posted about it on a Facebook group, and I emailed her, and a few weeks later I heard from her, and I interviewed. I mean, Nat Geo is huge, right? Again, a huge milestone for me, and I felt like everything I had done had led up to that. I'm very, very, very grateful for that opportunity.
Incredible.
It was amazing. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for tangenting off on
yes,
that with us
course.
for a little bit.
I told you before, I'm I could literally talk forever.
No, that's perfect. I was just as I was thinking about it, I was like, we can't not talk about this at all.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
It's such a big part of it.
I love talking about it. I feel so lucky that I get to be in film and music.
Yeah.
I think I was telling you before, I've just crafted my life in such a thoughtful way. And the fact that it's all worked out, it couldn't, I feel like if you really put intention behind what you're doing and put the right energy into it, it can't not work out for you, right? So I'm very confident in that.
Hell yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get back into the hypothetical questions.
Oh,
Y'all
cool.
thought I forgot. I didn't. Messed up all my cards here.
Oh my God.
Okay. This is a fun one. If you could perform anywhere in the world, anywhere on the planet.
Yeah.
And we had to defunct the moon because sound doesn't travel in space.
Okay.
But anywhere on the planet, and it would be, you wouldn't have to worry about the logistics. So power would be anywhere, stage, people, it would all be accessible. Sky's the limits, literally. Where would you pick?
I'm going to be so cliche right now and say Madison Square Garden.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I said that yesterday to 2 other people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to the 2 people I was interviewing
yesterday. And they said something different?
Yeah, like one of them was like, well, I would perform in New York somewhere. And I was like, so Madison Square Garden's in New York.
That everyone wants to perform. I mean, that's just always been a dream. I never knew what it would be for. But now that I'm in the music space, I'm like, I just went, I saw Paramore there a few months ago with my guitarist, Ryan.
Oh, I bet that was incredible.
And, oh my God, it was the best fucking show. I mean, they are just performers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Haley Williams, my wife, it's crazy the way she's on stage. I mean, that I look up to her so much. I'm like, I want to be like that on stage. You know, she's just so free.
Yep.
So and she doesn't care what anyone thinks, and she just does her thing, and she's so talented. They all are. It's incredible. So I would love. I mean, so many people obviously have performed there. It would be an honor to one day perform there.
Hell yeah. I mean, that's a great space.
Yeah.
I've only been to New York a small handful of times, so I haven't gotten to go to a show there yet. But
one day.
Maybe we'll get this show on there sometime.
Yeah, right? I know.
All right, now this is the last of the hypothetical questions. This one's a bit more heady one. If you had to pick a completely different genre than any genre you've performed so far, so if you've done it before, you can't pick it now.
Okay.
But you would be equally as competent as you are at your most proficient genre. Which one would you pick?
Pop punk.
Okay.
Period. I'm such a fan of pop punk.
There are some cover songs that might say that you technically did this already.
Oh, okay. I see.
We're gonna split some hairs
as far
here.
as like the technical logistics.
Let's put this barrier here, just because I'm kind of curious. What would be after that?
What would be after that?
Yeah, like if you had to go for something completely different.
Yeah. I guess rock music.
Okay.
I think that would be really cool if I could be as good as I am with my
proficiency
indie pop
would
stuff.
just
so
pop right over.
Pop right over there. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could dig that.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up.
Okay.
Tell us about what's coming up next. Let's say early to mid-August, around that time.
Yeah. So I have no shows planned past my July 20th show.
Okay.
So that doesn't count for your question. But I have no shows planned currently. I'm kind of trying to really focus on writing and recording right now. I would love to play more shows if the opportunity arise, but right now I'm really putting all my energy into that. And my goal is to put a few singles out towards the end of the year, and then in December put out a project. And I have everything pretty much written already. It just, again, it's all stuff that I just like put into my phone, and like everything kind of is going together, but I have to structure it all out. So that's where I'm at.
All the verses on the wall and then grab the red string.
I know. I'm like, okay, this actually needs to go at that song, and this goes here. Exactly. So just like putting all of that together. But yeah, that's the plan. I'm really excited for this one.
Hell yeah.
It's going to be good. It's about like my time. So for that Nat Geo project, I was in New York for a year, and I was away from LA. So it's about that time of my life, just like June of last year to June of this year.
Okay.
And just
hey, that's how long the show's been around.
Wow. Yeah. Oh my God.
Wait, when in June?
June 16th, I think, was my first day.
June 2nd was for us.
Nah. Oh my God. Forget it. No, but yeah, I mean, it was a weird time in my life because I was so happy to be in New York. I've always wanted to work in New York and be close to my family, of course. Like to have both of those things is like the dream, right?
Yeah.
But I also really missed LA. I had a lot of people. My partner lives in LA, and it was a weird time. It was an incredible time, an incredible life-changing time. I mean, I changed as a woman, as a person, as an artist, as, you know, a businesswoman, I guess. Like every part of me changed from last year to this year, being in New York and being able to have that. And so obviously I wrote about it all the time because that's like how I get all my emotions out and how I kind of figure stuff out sometimes, you know? I'm like, what am I exactly feeling? Like, how do I
It's like a journal, but you vocalize all of it afterwards.
Exactly. And that's what this has kind of always been for me is, you know, kind of my therapy, but the whole world is listening. Well, one day. But
Fair.
Anyone could listen if they want to.
True.
Kind of thing,
It's always available.
Yes, to anybody.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be really good.
Well,
I'm excited.
I know flying in December is kind of a pain to get to these particular parts, but we'll have to get you back around that time.
Yeah.
Right before it comes out
definitely.
or right after it comes out to talk
I would love
about
that. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Definitely. Thank you.
All right, now for this next one, go ahead, look at the camera, tell people how they can connect with you, how they can find you, give us all your ats and things like that.
Yeah, cool. So I am at Signed Rosie on all social media platforms and Signed, Rosie on all music streaming platforms. Connect with me there. Follow me on all the things. DM me to work together or hang out. Get coffee, get a drink, whatever. I love meeting new people.
Hell yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
Oh, 100%. Shout out to my parents, first of all. I would not be who I am without you. I would not be where I am without you. And the rest of my family, I love you guys so much. Shout out to my partner, Gail. I love you forever. And shout out to my band, dude. Ellie and Ryan, you guys fucking changed my life these past 6 months. And shout out to Lord Lawrence. I fucking love you, dude.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's a solid list.
Yeah. I have so many people to thank.
All right, now we've got one last question.
Okay.
And this is definitely the crowd favorite. Everybody's a big fan of this one.
Excited.
What is your guilty pleasure song?
Bro, I Write Sins Not Tragedies by Panic at the Disco. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know it went really mainstream, but it's still a banger. That's why it went mainstream.
Just Between Us Girls.
Oh my God.
That album is one of my all-time favorite albums.
Me too.
I can cover to cover that whole album.
Me too. It's my top 5, along with Take Care.
If you ever
100%.
listen to the guitar at the beginning of I Constantly Thank God for Esteban, the way they recorded it was so cool. Because it's like on just the left side.
Listen to it right now.
Yeah, on the left side, it's all downstrokes. And on the right side, it's all upstrokes.
Oh, hell yeah.
So it's that, like, it just, you have this, like, it's such a cool concept.
That's so dope. I'm going to listen to it right now in the car ride home.
The album was produced so well.
So well.
And I got to see them. I got to see them live during their Pretty Odd tour.
Oh my God. I'm literally so jealous of you.
There was a show with the Black Keys and Motion City Soundtrack. And
dude,
it was like right after they had like got rid of all the like theater gimmick stuff or the overproduction of it all. And just, they showed up in all like, like grassroots attire, all like, brown with the vests and the button-ups under.
Oh, absolutely.
And just
the best.
Oh, they were incredible live. Like just I couldn't understand like how they got those harmonies and how everything was so dialed and how everybody played their instruments so well.
I know.
Because I had only ever had that imagery beforehand.
Right. Yeah.
And so like getting to see like right after Pretty Odd came out, which I like sat with for a little bit. I didn't love it right away.
Oh yeah.
But like when I got to see them live, I was like, I get it.
Oh, I get it.
And that was after seeing Motion City Soundtrack.
Yeah.
Who I got to meet after that. Like, I have the picture somewhere. If I can find it, I'll put it on here.
Put it right here.
Yep.
Right here.
Wait. Put both our fingers like this. It'll be right here. Perfect. Cameron, remind me about that. Breaking the fourth wall, because I'll forget.
Cameron.
But yeah, no, that is a great guilty pleasure song.
Yeah, absolutely.
It definitely is the most mainstream one on there.
Yeah.
I still stand by it. I Constantly Thank God for Esteban as one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
Just for a myriad of reasons.
Oh, definitely.
And also, what was I can't remember the name of it, but what was the one? It was like London Bridge is Calling.
London Beckoning something.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm the worst.
There was like an earlier version of it. I think I think they like re-released it at some point, but the earlier version was wild.
No way.
Yeah, so don't quote me on this, as I'm trying to remember. Trying to remember some like high school stuff here.
In real time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? I never tangent this long on this, but since we're talking about throwbacks,
please.
before we hung out today, I definitely had to go and re-listen to Enter Shikari's first album.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And that, like, same time period, super nostalgic.
Totally.
But that has definitely been the wavelength of today.
Absolutely. We're riding that.
Oh, yeah.
All day.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and steal the camera for just a second and wrap this up. Oh. This has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. Make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things that I know that you know where they are. And I'm never going to learn, but I trust you. And we're going to go ahead and get up on out of here. Rosie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was such a fun time. Thank you. Can't wait to come back.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. This has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm signed Rosie.
Oh, wait.
What?
I almost forgot.
Oh my God, what?
There's a live performance after this, y'all. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, it's signed Rosie. This is my song, My Mind Won't Go to Sleep. My couch is now a staple at this point. It's not a question that throughout this year I have reintroduced my own depression. The ceiling is my friend and I have no conclusion for an end. Forget what it is like to go outside. How long, my dear, have you lived like this? How long will you entertain these skeletons tugging at your heart? Just close the closet. I used to have a light, but now I've lost it. I promised I'd never let LA change me, but I do. Natural instinct is therapy, but I can't talk it through. I ignore calls and text messages, even though it's you. What's a home and what is love? I hope I know it soon. The East Coast made me soft, when I grew up in Milford. Catholic school, pale uniform, speaking to the Lord and Savior. Hope he heard me on my knees, praying I'd be here one day. How silly, what a child I was. Still don't watch what I fucking say. My dear, have you lived like this? How long will you entertain these skeletons tugging at your heart? Just close the closet. I used to have a light, but now I've lost it. I promised I'd never let LA change me, but I do. Natural instinct is therapy, but I can't talk it through. I ignore calls and text messages, even though it's you. What's a home and what is love? I hope I know it soon.
All right, y'all. This has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. Make sure to push all the buttons, do all the things. I don't know where they are, and I'm never going to figure it out, but I trust you. This has been another exciting episode. I'm Jimmy.
I'm signed Rosie.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap. This is not a podcast. This is a show.